my Star Wars nerds out here. It's Sarah. Thank you so much for joining my channel today. Specifically, we are going to be chatting about Darth Bane, Rule of Two. This is the second book of a series of 3 written by Drew Karpyshyn. So, if you did not read the first book, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be talking about some stuff because I've been holding it in. I need to talk about it. It was in the first book, so you will be spoiled. I'm warning you right now. So turn it off if you didn't read it. I did a review on the first book, so if you're wondering if you should read the first book, check out my first review. But if not, I'm going to be talking about the first book, basically, okay? So this is not only a review, this is me going on a little rant about how incredibly good the first book was with some details. So let's start by saying, if you think the first book, like, you know when you read a series of books and you're like, gosh, the second book was just not as good as the first, that's not true here. Okay, they're all good. The second book was just as good. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't stop reading it. I read it in like 2 weeks. I finished it and I ordered the third book, and I should have ordered the third book earlier, and I have to wait like 10 days to get it, and I'm over here sitting like, oh my God, but whatever. So the first book, I talked about in my review, but I'm going to get into some detail. That book took me by surprise. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I really thought that Githany, or Githany, I don't know how you pronounce it, was going to be Darth Bane's apprentice. Like, I could have sworn it. And he just, like, had her killed in the thought bomb. And in the end, that just shows the way of the Sith. The fact that he basically talked, what's his name? Lord Khan. Lord Khan into saying, like, you know what? You should stay here. I'm gonna go and do the whole thought bomb thing and kill everybody while you stay back, because basically he was thinking, I don't want him to take all the credit. Like, this is, you know, my idea and my plan. Darth Bane knew what he was doing the entire time. So he sat back at the camp while they just went to their deaths, basically, and he did not have to lift a finger. All the Sith, they did the thought bomb, it goes off, kills everybody that remotely had any power in the Force, which is what he wanted done. He mostly wanted the Sith gone because, you know, he believed in the Rule of Two. And he thought there should only be one person that embodies the power of the Sith, and one other person to crave it. That's it. Not all these different lords of the Sith and all being equal and working together. He's like, that's bogus. That's not how it's supposed to be done. So he gets everybody killed, and he just literally has to sit back and not do anything. I think that's the way of the Sith. It just was so perfect and so good how that happened, and it was just so well written at the same time. Like, the detail of it without it being too detailed where you don't understand or get lost in it. Like, I was not lost one bit. I knew exactly what was going on. I did not at all feel like it was slow or got tired. Like in the second book, it was the same. It started off right where we left off. In the end, he's leaving Rusan, sees a little girl who's like 10 years old who just killed 2 Sith using the Force because she got so angry that the Jedi killed her friend. So she just killed them, these two Jedi soldiers. So Darth Bane sees it as an opportunity. She's a young girl, impressionable, very powerful in the Force, obviously has a lot of anger, a lot of hate. Perfect. So he scoops her up, and that becomes his new apprentice. She declares her loyalty to him at the end of that book, saying, I want to learn the ways of the Sith, and then that's that. And she just pops up at the end of the first book, so I didn't see it coming that there was going to be any other candidate to be his apprentice other than Githany. So I thought it was so good because it took me by surprise, and a lot of times a lot of books don't. So that in itself was really good. But then you get into the second book, and you see, just like any other things you see, you know, how you saw in the movies, Anakin Skywalker always battling with the good, the bad, the light, the dark, you know. We've seen it. We know it. And the same thing as Darth Bane in the first one. You see him struggle just a little bit with his morals and his conscience about being a Sith, and then it passes, you know? He kills, you know, who he needs to kill, and then it's over. He never looks back. So it's the same thing, but what I like about Zana, and you'll see it in the beginning of the second book, is, all I'm gonna say is it doesn't take her as long to really fully concede to the dark side and be a badass, and just like, she maybe has like 5 minutes of like, what should I do? And then it's over. She's a like true badass. That's all I'm gonna say. It happens early in the second book, so that scene in itself, I call it a scene, chapter, whatever, but I'm always playing the movie in my head while I'm reading. That's another really good thing about these books. It's so easy for you to basically imagine what's going on, feel what they're feeling. I thought it was just so well written. And the second book is not slow at all either. It picks up where it leaves off, and then in the middle of the book you see 10 years have gone by. Next chapter, 10 years later. So you get to see Zana. She's an adult at this point. She's been Darth Bane's apprentice for 10 years. So you get to see how she is helping Darth Bane with whatever his plan is. You get to find out Darth Bane's plan, how he's doing things, obviously keeping under the radar like a Sith, you know, should, without being noticed at all, and without anybody finding out that the Sith are still alive, because you got to remember from the first book, like, everyone thinks the Sith are extinct. They haven't been thought about in 10 years. So that's perfect. That's what Darth Bane wants, because no one's ever going to see it coming, anything that's going on, and they can do whatever they want without being on the radar, because nobody is anticipating it. But there's one character that does come along that for those past 10 years who was on Ruusan, and he still believes that there's a possibility that the Sith are still alive, that someone survived. So he causes some rifts and some issues and obstacles. So you see that in this book. It goes back and forth with those characters, with him battling, trying to convince people that the Sith might still be alive. And then you get to see different flashbacks of Zana training under Darth Bane, which was really cool because, as you know, it is grueling, the training, and for a 10-year-old girl, you know, going through all of that, and how she just basically seems like she was born for it. Like, she just goes through every obstacle just really well. And Darth Bane actually really, I guess in his own way, as much as a Sith could be, is proud of her, impressed by her, like, and so I just think she's a really cool character in itself, and you just want to see what's going to happen next, like what's she going to do next. It really focused a lot on her, mostly. So, but still good. I mean, you obviously get to see everything Darth Bane is doing, but she, as his apprentice, does a lot of the dirty work, just like, you know, anyone else. He sends her to do a lot of his biddings on a lot of things, so that he could stay hidden and unnoticed and unseen. But yeah. And the only thing I will add about this book is the ending of the second book keeps you on your toes, in suspense, because I'm not going to say anything. All I'm going to say is when I was finishing this book, I was like 5 chapters deep, but I was like, I need to finish this, because there are things that happen where you're like, it's a close call for Darth Bane, is all I'm going to say. And the way it ends is so good and unexpected as well as expected, but it really keeps you on your toes and wanting to know more until the end. And it was so good and full of suspense. So I really suggest you read it if you want to know what happens, because it was incredible. If you're at all a fan of Star Wars, regardless of the whole canon, legends, not Star Wars, is Star Wars, is it history, is it not? It's really cool. It does not ruin the movies whatsoever, in my opinion. It doesn't contradict any story that we already know. It happened 1,000 years before any of the movies. So if you just want to get a little spin on a different character, or the way the Jedi might have been long ago, as well as the Sith, and you want to just get, like, it's refreshing just to see a new character, you know, then I really suggest this book. Darth Bane is easily becoming my favorite character of Star Wars, even though it's not really Star Wars, you know what I mean? But it's incredible. I mean, his story from the beginning to now, and it's not just him, it's everything. All the characters in the book, they're entertaining, they're good. You just want to keep reading. So if you're at all a fan, please read this. You won't regret it. So I really hope this was at all helpful to you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything you want to add about these books or talk about, please hit me up in the comments below. But with that, I'm going to say peace out. And please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more content. Bye.